you have farmers, and then you have beverage people that have, totally different, they're doing the same thing, kind of, but
varying levels
might have
of care.
Varying levels of care, varying levels of scope, and to really navigate, right? Like, I always go back to the word navigate. Like, 2021 has made me hate the word pivot, or 2020 has made me hate the word pivot. It's just like
navigate,
ear vomit. I'm like, yeah, I get it, right? But like, what we're doing is navigating, right? We're like a boat at sea. There's a lot of things that we can't control. We're trying to pay attention to them, and we're just trying to make adjustments, right? So that we can have our best chance at smooth sailing, getting where we want to go, wherever that may be. And with people, it's like, again, you have all these micro experiences every day, like conversations, interactions, and I am like so insecure, like that. I like constantly, I'm like replaying every conversation in my head. I'm like, how did I get my point across? Did I sound like an asshole?
Yeah.
Did I sound like this? Did I make them feel? Did I evoke the right, the feeling that I was trying to inspire or impart the knowledge that I was hoping to?
Yeah.
Did I learn something from that?
I just made a speech. Hold on. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Those impromptu before service that get like way too philosophical.
Yeah,
like,
and
we're
you're
only
like,
doing 40, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not trying to solve anything here. I'm just like...
you're like...
when you wake up in the morning...
Is this thing on? Is this thing on? You're like...
You're like,
did I just give a soliloquy to the...
There was no need for that, That's awesome.
But, just to kind of bring that full circle back to like what you had mentioned, was like, I am constantly replaying all of those interactions and thinking about, the way that I share my thoughts, my beliefs, my opinions. And one of the things that can be really empowering is when you figure out how to express those without boxing somebody in or making them afraid to share their opinions if they're not the same thing. And I think that's important part of being a good listener, being a good conversationalist, being a good partner in whatever kind of relationship that is. But also, like, you draw from, we learn more from our mistakes than we do from our successes, right? And like, it's these sharper senses of like survival instincts and skills that kind of pop up. And you're like, God, I shouldn't have said that, or wow, I just watched how that unfolded, or how this relationship disintegrated because of how I handled it, or how we handled that together, or how we communicated or didn't communicate in that relationship. And it makes you more sensitive to how you share your opinions, or how you share your thoughts and belief system. And you realize, when you don't close, when you're more careful, right? And we still all do it, I think, at varying levels, but when you're more careful not to put those definitive statements down, those ironclad doors, you're open to learning more, and you're open to sharing more, and people are more likely to talk and share with you, which makes you able to continue to learn and grow and become better.
Absorb.
Absorb. And it's hard when you're constantly putting doors down, and we live in a time right now, a really wild, crazy time where everyone has a platform, right? And I think that part is cool. It's great. But we've sort of not even sort of, like, so many people are losing or never gaining the appreciation for the conversation, right? And it's like, or the opinion versus fact, right? And like, we live in a time where people can put this information out there, and instantaneously it can reach infinite eyes, right? Infinite being infinite people's own browser, like in their own mind, and which again is so powerful, it's so cool and resonant, and there's so much good that has come and will come out of that. But as we've seen from the last few years, and how polarizing it can be when we forget how to speak to each other with empathy and care, and how the lack of personally being in the space with the person that you're communicating allows you to be totally surgically removed from how you're making somebody feel, or the responsibility and weight of what your actions or sharing your opinions, comes with. And, when you're sitting with somebody, we're getting now to the point where people are so conditioned at not caring. Now they are actually acting, people are talking the same way they tweet or the same way they post, where it's like, I don't care that you're right in front of me anymore. I'm just going to blurt out this thing. I don't care how it makes you feel. I'm not paying attention because we have 5-second attention spans, and
we really do.
And it's crazy, and there's like this sort of unfortunate detachment from the connectivity, which is like being connected, being so connected has actually allowed us to remove some of the important feelings from and responsibilities from actually being connected, right? And
being present,
right?
Because I think now we just get everything instant. Everything's instant. I mean, even those TikTok videos I was watching, some the other day, it's like instant, boom, clip.
It'll make your head spin.
You have no time. Like, I don't like that shit. You have no time to watch it, and you're like, I can't do this right now.
It's intense. You sort of have to be in the mood for it, and you're like, if you're just like, is this how we're gonna be like? This is how we absorb information anymore. You can't. People can't. They're literally. This will be the longest conversation I have, right? Because you're like, people are like, you sit down and literally 2 seconds into the conversation, they pick up the phone and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm listening, but I'm also scrolling. I'm guilty of it too. And I try to be more mindful of it now. Again, because I'm constantly trying to learn and get better and pay more attention to myself. And I'm a big believer in leading by example, but also just trying to be my best self, and that's a constant journey. That's a constant work in progress, and I don't want to expect things from others that aren't aware of in my own self or my own, who I am. And sometimes I want to challenge my own assumptions and beliefs, in terms of like, I want to see how those, if I do that myself, and is that something I actually think is right, or is that just something is that just a hot take that I just kind of latched on and said that maybe that'll work, and then I just start putting it out there? No, let me work through that. Let me try to see if that's something that is a thing, that I want to do. And so I try to be more self-aware now of it, because I found myself doing it, or I found myself getting aggravated or annoyed or like hurt, right? Like, we're so sensitive in this business, right?
Chefs are the most fucking sensitive people ever, man.
So sensitive, right? And because we have to be to be good at this, right? Like, you're honing whether you know how to rein it in or how to harness
everyone's
it.
Mom,
everybody's mom. Yeah, exactly. We're feeding you. Yeah. Trying to make sure you're warm when you're cooled. You're cool when you're warm. That you get drinks when you're thirsty. That again, like back to what we were saying in the beginning, that is the light making you comfortable? Is that seat nice? Do you like the way this place makes you feel? Yeah. Let me take care of you. Like, we're constantly trying to bring somebody in from the cold and make them feel better. So you hone all your senses, whether it's intentional or not, into being attuned to all that stimuli out there, which is really almost impossible, at least for me, to shut off. Like, when go outside in your regular life, and you're picking things up that other people aren't seeing, and you're taking them personally, or you're taking them sensitive. And I'm gonna take a bathroom break real quick.
Oh,
is
hell
that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Pause this shit.
Yeah. I drank way.
Alrighty. Bathroom break is over. We're real here on Sucio Talk. It's all good. The one day I was filming in Oakland, and some siren went off, and he's like, "You want to turn it off?" I was like, "No, fuck no, just let it play. Let the siren play. It's all good."
It's part of life, right? It's like I think that's one of the coolest things about your podcast is just this is a snapshot. This is a real snapshot, right? And
roll with the punches. Fuck it.
Authentic in all its, in all it's capturing, right? And I look at that, that's sort of where I'm at in my life, and especially with this last year, it's just looking at things and saying, like, how do I be, like, authentically just where I need to be and who I need to be, and just capture where I'm at and where we're at right now, and
what's
how does
the right thing to do?
What's the right thing to do?
Have you ever thought about writing a cookbook or anything?
Oh yeah, God, I've thought about that so many times over the years. It's definitely on my list. I've even started writing a couple times over the years.
Yeah.
And then I've started and stopped, stopped, and because of so many reasons, the grind of the time commitment.
Yeah. And your dad's chef, that's like 22 hours of the day gone.
Yeah. And just the roller coaster ride of the last 22 years. But that's something that I know I'm going to do. I've contributed to a few over the years. And it's a passion thing. And I guess I go back and forth to, like, okay, now I need to, like, just have a concept, or do I just do recipes, or do I just do like Nick's over the years? Do I do, what is it going to be? And sometimes, and this is something I'm actually consciously working on right now, like, it's like you become so dialed into trying to make things perfect that you
never do it.
You never do it because now you're worried about making your process perfect.
Yep. That was the reason why, when I started this podcast, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you should do video." And it's like, I don't like. That would require me another 2 weeks of, like, getting a fucking camera and figuring it out, and then it's like, now my show has this base where it's like, he needs a camera now, right? Yeah. Right. I have everything in a fucking backpack for this reason. I can record and go anywhere, do whatever. And so I just had to start it. And the first one, the audio sucked. You could hear the cars, riding in the street outside and shit. And I just had to do it because I knew that if I did it and then didn't do another one, people would be like, that's fucking lame. So I put the pressure on myself. I was like, I'm going to put this podcast out there and I'm going to say, I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah.
So I never said publicly, I'm going to do this podcast until I had one.
Yeah.
And then I was like, here's the fucking podcast.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which was smart.
Yeah.
But then it also, you laid the gauntlet down for yourself.
Oh, I did.
Which is because we're total...
I like deadlines.
Yes, and in this business, again, you're like, did we gravitate towards it because that's how we were, or did this business make us like that? Probably a little bit of both. Where you like deadlines and you need pressure, right? Like you need pressure. Pressure fuels the creativity, right?
Creativity, yeah.
And
because sometimes I sit there and I'm like, I'm going to think of a dish, and I'm like, nothing comes,
think, right? But if you're like,
I got
to cook for 4 people, or like shit, there's like these chicken legs need to get used.
Yeah.
Like,
what can I do?
What can I do with them?
Boom.
And then all of a sudden, all these creative ideas come, right? And it's funny because you hear that quote over and over again over the years, like necessity is the mother of all invention, right? And it's so true, right? It's like there's this adrenaline and this mental like fortitude that comes out of need, right? Where you're able to, whether you're able to just laser focus on something or just percolate ideas and action, right? That it's hard to once you've felt and harnessed that level of pressure, it's hard to put yourself in that space without the pressure.
I hear you. That's the cool thing, and I think that's why I did this podcast, because I knew that my time at Charter Oak was coming to an end, and I was like, I need a grind. I need to know that at least I have something to go into that doesn't make me any money, but still keeps me busy. And like you don't even fathom how busy you get doing this shit, because you're like, oh yeah, it's a fucking podcast, but it's like, no, okay, now you got to record it, now you got to take the right photos, say the right things,
schedule things,
talk
to,
exactly.
outreach.
People got wives and kids, and like
businesses.
They're probably like, who the fuck is David? I don't want you doing fucking podcasts.